So I'm excited today. We have a couple of guests. We have Wieger and Lipco, who are we're going to talk a little bit about. I like kind of an alternative approach to physiotherapy, injury rehab, kind of different than I think most people. It seems like have experienced their own personal experiences with physical therapy, or at least so. I think this is a kind of very different approach, and these guys have a history to get working together. So I think we'll hear an interesting story. So that my guests today are Wieger Inc. Hi Wieger, nice to see you again.
Yeah,
Wieger is a heat PT and has done a lot of work. He's going to show us a lot of examples of talk a lot about how your shoulder works and how he does physical therapy with shoulder injuries. So thanks for joining us, Wieger.
yeah, welcome. And I'm very glad to be here. I'm very honored. I'm a big fan of your work, of your podcast and your book. So I'm very glad that I can join you here today. And it's nice to see Lipco again. We haven't seen each other for a while, but we go way back. So
Very
I'm
true.
very delighted to be here today.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and the other guest is Lupko Pot, who is the founder and CEO of Tidal Tank. Also, he, who wakes water. We're going to talk a lot about water-based training implements today. He's also taken over Ultimate Instability from Paul Venner, who I've talked about on the podcast before. If you've listened to me at all, read my books, you know I'm a huge fan of these tools for training. They fit really well with the ecological approach of adding variability, challenging stability, all the things I like. So we're gonna talk a lot about those today. So I think what we decided we're gonna start, because I mentioned Lipco has these two guys have a history because Lipco went to see Wieger when he had a shoulder injury. So we're gonna talk a little, and that's kind of how inspired him to start the company and go in that direction, I think. So we're gonna start with Lipco's story a little bit. Maybe you want me to pull up the post you wrote on it, Lipco?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
I'll throw that up there.
Um,
Okay, there we go.
I'll reference this a little bit later. Thank you very much for having me on. By the way, it's a
Oh,
great
you're
pleasure to
welcome.
be-
My pleasure. Sorry, I didn't let you speak. Yeah.
no worries, no worries. Yeah, so I would really like to tell a little bit about kind of why I started Tidal Tank to begin with, and my own journey with my own shoulder issues, and how I met Wieger as well. So I think I was 17 years old when I started having a lot of shoulder pain. Um, all the things that I wanted to do, boxing, basketball, it was all very hard because of this aching pain I had mostly in front of my shoulder, in the front of my shoulder. And over the next 10 years, I saw physical therapist after physical therapist, and they all said that I had shoulder impingement and sometimes thoracic outlet syndrome as well. But really, when I went there and they had me do certain exercises, it only got worse. And then when I stopped going to the physical therapist, it got a little bit better, but nowhere near what I would like to be. So I sought out a shoulder surgeon, one of the best ones in the Netherlands. And I went there. I had my whole monologue about everything that was wrong with my shoulder, because by that point I thought I knew everything. Yeah, I have shoulder impingement, I have thoracic outlet syndrome. He looked at me very unfazed, had me do a couple of tests, and just blankly looked at me and said, everything you said was wrong. You don't have shoulder impingement. You don't have thoracic outlet syndrome. You are creating your own shoulder impingement by how you move. So I thought, this guy is just, his success got to his head maybe. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't really believe him, to be honest, until he had me do a very simple test. So one of the tests that the physical therapist all made me do was just having my arm straight and raising it up. Mm-hmm. Right? And then at a certain angle from about here to here, it would hurt a lot, and then it would go away. And then they would conclude, okay, this is shoulder impingement, and it's a structural problem. But he had me do a very simple variation, which is just stretching up my arm forward a little bit, then moving it up, and I had no pain at all. And I had complete freedom of movement. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something here. And then he said, I will send you to a physical therapist here in the neighborhood that I've worked with for a long time, and he will probably be able to heal you in a couple of months. So I was still quite skeptical, but that is how I met Wieger. So here on our website, tidal-tank.com, if you go to my story, that whole story is there. So you can see me here in his studio. the lack of mobility I had, but mostly it was the pain that was a big issue.
So did you have, was it like an acute injury? Did it happen? Did you, doing a particular sport, did you hurt it, or was it kind of a chronic more?
I think I developed it through my activity in martial arts mostly,
Okay.
but it kind of got worse and worse and worse.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't really one event.
Wasn't one event. Yeah. Okay. I just
The way that
interrupt.
the way that Wieger explained it to me at the time is just, okay, you're locking in your shoulder too much, so you're not moving your scapula with your shoulder, thus not creating the space that it needs to have. And I really, really loved the approach of Wieger, which was more through implicit learning than explicit learning. So most physical therapists, they would tell me, you should move in this and this way, and then you're supposed to think about it and then do it. Wieger in the beginning, he hardly told me anything, which I didn't like because I like to understand stuff. He would hardly tell me anything. He would just have me do some assignments, like, okay, stand on the Bosu ball, hold the aqua bag or tidal tank, and touch these rings in front. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, but he made it progressively harder to do. And the perturbation of the water works really well to get you kind of out of that movement pattern. And at the same time, like, the goal is to kind of stretch. So you're asking your body to then move the scapula forward as well, I suppose. And this worked really, really well. And lo and behold, in a couple of months, I didn't have any issues anymore with my shoulder. I liked it so much that I really wanted to get a product like this for myself. At the time, there was one variant on the market which was quite expensive, and above my pay grade at the time as a student. But I already had a business in the US before, and I thought, oh, this could be a very nice product. It's now very dear to my heart. And I could make a nice brand around it and sell it mostly in the US, where the brand at the time, so that was the ultimate instability product actually that Wieger was using before. It was not very active in the US. And I thought, okay, I can make a nice brand around it and then try to really get it to market in the US. And now it's doing very well. Last year we sold around 20,000
awesome.
20,000 units. Not everybody that uses the products uses it in this way.
Yeah.
This methodical way, which maybe we'll touch upon later.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that is a story.
Oh, that's
around,
awesome. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Great story. So maybe we can go to Wieger now. We talk a little more in depth about kind of what. So I'll try to play that. Start with the bit. What's a shoulder impingement? Maybe I'll start there. What exactly?
A shoulder impingement. In literature, there are two types.
Okay.
Two types. The first one is an external impingement. I've got here.
Okay. Well, we got
a model. We've got
a model. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what you do is you have the roof of the shoulder, the acromion, and you have the humeral head, and there are the muscles, and the bursa is laying there. And when you move up and it's not going well, you impinge your head to the roof, and you impinge your tendon and your bursa. And that hurts.
Okay.
And so there are different types of it. When you have a calcification here in the tendon, your tendon gets thickened, and then there's really no space, and then you will impinge it.
Okay.
At that point, you have to do something with injections or operation to fix it. But what we see a lot, what the scapula should do, that's the nice part of the shoulder. The shoulder is really built for mobility. You can go everywhere with your arm, and it's really there to help your hand. Your hand is your tool, and your hand should be everywhere in space to do things. And you have this moving joint. You have this glenoid, which is moving there, and then you can move up your arm, and you can do a tennis smash with 200 kilometers an hour. You can wide your ceiling and everything. The problem is when your scapula is not moving well, is standing here, then you might still impinge it. Okay. And then it's not a structural problem, but it's a movement pattern problem, because you should move your glenoid under it.
Okay.
And then you don't have the impingement anymore.
Okay.
And that's what often isn't recognized through therapists, through doctors. They see the pain, they do all the tests, and they see, yeah, it's not working well, but they're not really looking at how the scapula is moving. And
Okay.
when they're looking at winging when you go back, but they are not looking at the mobility. And that's where we see a lot of problems when your scapula has not full range of motion.
Okay.
And the next thing is when you can't control this range of motion, you get into troubles, especially with pitchers and everything as sportsmen.
Okay. So it's kind of it's a maladaptive movement pattern.
Maladaptive
Yeah.
movement pattern, very often caused by pain.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that you get from doing like martial arts in Lipco's. What did you see when you first saw him? Like,
Yeah, when my analysis with Lupko was not what is his what structure is there, what's hurting, because he had been in pain for years there. He had seen, like he said, every therapist in Amsterdam, and there are a lot of therapists there.
Yeah.
So my analysis is doesn't he get better? What's the problem that he will not cure? That the body is not curing itself. I bet when you get in pain, everybody gets pain in his life. Everybody.
Yeah.
And through pain, you get adaptation, which is a very, very good thing. I mean, you have to protect your body. But when this protection in the short term is very good, when it doesn't go away in long term, it will become your problem.
Okay.
What we saw in his movements, that his scapula, you can see it on the movie, is really not working. The one side is making this upward rotation, while the right side is just standing there. And then you get this really hard patterns to move up to do. You can, and the second thing we have with the shoulder, we have this mobility. But every kilo that you're moving up, it goes down by the ground, and it goes through the kinetic chain. And the scapula is really important part of this kinetic chain. So this whole force field is so important there, and it was totally messed up in Lupko's body. There was really the 17 muscles around the shoulder, didn't have a clue what to do.
Okay.
So that was my analysis.
That's
no mobility, and the force reactions were pretty messed up there.
So it's kind of like I put it, it's kind of like a capacity in a limitation. Like he doesn't have mobility in his shoulder to kind of make these adjustments.
Yeah, and the shoulder,
and also kind of a coordination problem. So it's very common to see people like, so anyone that goes and does weightlifting or work, you strain, you kind of overdo it and you hurt your shoulder a bit. Then is that when you start doing these kind of funny
movement,
and then they stick, right? Once the pain goes away.
And then they stick, and especially in weight sports, they do a lot before the mirror. So they want to be symmetrical, but your arm wants to move a little bit different to adapt to it. Connecting it, and pain gives a lot of internal focus, and better than anyone that you need to have an external focus in your training. So it messes up everything with the coordination there.
Yeah. And then, so I think where the big place where you differ from a traditional PT is you don't know the answer of what to tell him how to properly move his shoulder, right?
No. There's
no. It's a super complicated. Or like you said, it's part of a kinetic chain. Like you can't tell him do this with your scapula, right?
No. And that's where I came from. When I in about 2005, I got very interested in shoulder problems, and at that time there came a lot of new research on the mobility of the scapula. So it was a really nice time. Kipler from the US wrote a lot of it. Ann Coles from Ghent. But in that time there was no knowledge about motor learning. We didn't know about external, internal focus. So all the treatments we had were, hey, we see you not moving well. We think it should move that way. So all by internal focus with explicit learning, exactly telling how to do. I was very good at it. I really knew. I knew exactly how someone had to move. And I really can't go back that way.
Yeah. So it's fundamental. Like we use that this word, the self-organization, right?
Yeah.
You have to provide stimulus for self-organization.
Yeah, exactly.
And rather, which is not telling him and getting him to think about and focus on,
No,
internally. That's doing the opposite, right? That's
it's
it,
doing the
and
opposite.
hindering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
you
when you
To me,
want to
start.
it
get
feels like
Yeah. Sorry, go. Lopko.
sorry. Yeah, to me, it feels like that most physical therapists, they want to have this feeling of control. So they want to feel like they want to be able to point exactly, this is exactly what the issue is.
Mhm.
You should move exactly like this. And so now I'm going to tell you how to move.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and when your
yeah,
complaints are there long enough, there's really no relationship anymore between tissue and pain. It's,
Mhm.
it's totally out of each other. The
Yeah.
pain goes all the way. It has so many dimensions there. So
Yeah.
it
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't say
I think
me
it's.
anything where the pain is there.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a good point, Lipko. It's the same with coaches, right? You want to know what to tell the athlete to do. But
Yeah.
adopting like complex approach is kind of just, we don't know, right? You have to
exactly.
figure it out. It's very kind of letting go of control, which is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? For physical therapists too. So
Yeah,
so you kind of you want to, so he's coming to you with lack of range of motion, obviously, and you can see this and pain.
Yeah.
And so you want him to learn a new movement pattern that.
Yeah. What we want to do, he has a movement pattern that's not working.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
first I want to destabilize the movement pattern he has. You've talked
Okay.
about it in your
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. So
I want to
constraint, yeah.
destabilize it. So the scapula is not moving there, and
Mhm.
I want the scapula to go moving, but
Mhm.
without any pain in the shoulder. So I always use the degrees of freedom from Bernstein. I think
Okay.
that's such a brilliant.
Yeah, he was a pretty
method
smart
to work
guy.
with.
Yeah.
But when we look at the shoulder,
Mhm.
all physios, they do the same thing, but they don't know
Mhm.
it. They use the Bernstein degrees of freedom. They freeze every degree
Mhm.
and only move 1 degree. But
Mhm.
there's no self-organization, there's no feedback in that, there's no motor learning.
Mhm.
I want to do it the other way. I want to freeze only the part that's hurting, and I
Mhm.
want to move all the rest of the body.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me
Yes.
to bring up one of your videos here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's show an example of this. Let me.
And to get this self-organization, you have a few things you need. You need simple rules in the exercises. And what I mean by that, when you move forward, when you move backwards sitting on a Swiss ball, you move backwards, your arm will go forwards. It's a very simple rule.
Mhm.
And you need feedback, direct feedback.
Okay. So this is a pay. This is a
This,
patient.
the patients will see they all got informed consent that I'm allowed to show this,
Okay.
and they really want other people to learn about it. So
This one's hard to watch. She's
yeah.
dislocating her shoulder. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that looked painful.
This is a pretty extreme form, but
Yeah.
this is a 17-year-old girl who started playing tennis when she was 12 years old. Before that, she used to do gymnastics, which also she was very good at. She's very skilled girl. And she started playing tennis when she was 12 years old, and she was very good. So she got scouted for a team and then for selection and everything. So instead of playing 1 time, 2 times a week, she started playing 5, 6 times a week. And she is very competitive, so she really liked it. And she got in overuse. She got problems with serving. She got a click in her shoulder.
Mhm.
And it got worse and it got worse. And she went to the physiotherapist, but she didn't want to stop because she was very high ranked already. She didn't want to stop. So instead of taking a rest, she got exercises to train her shoulder to get it more stronger. And then she really got into troubles.
That would made it worse.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got clicking more and more and more. And in the end, the total motor system got disturbed, and she now has it on both sides. And there's no trauma, there's no damage in the capsule and everything.
So it's the lack of mobility to start with is, and the pain is causing her to develop this motor pattern, and really there's no reason why to not do this. It's working like initially for what she wants. Right?
Yeah. So I think the key is when people don't protect their body, when you have pain and you don't go protecting it, you're starting in this overuse and you're very competitive, the body will protect itself.
Yes.
And
sure.
it does it by freezing degrees of freedom, by getting stiffness.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And then the other thing is you get less variability in movement. So in the beginning, you have, when the ball is going well, you still can serve. And when you throw it a little bit out of your angle, you get in trouble there. And your comfort zone getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And in the end, you can't move your arms again.
Yeah.
And
No,
this
I
is
know
a
it.
very extreme part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've had the similar. You do weightlifting exercises like shoulder raises. You can do it in one particular slot. Anywhere out of there, nope. Yeah,
No,
you learn how
that's
to work around it. Yeah. No, I think that's good. So let's look at. So here's. So I'm gonna get back to here. So here's where you start. Right.
Here is what I start with. I've seen her once. I'll see her next week again for the second appointment. There's 6 weeks between the appointments. She has to do a lot of stuff at home.
What you're talking about, you're freezing degrees of freedom here by having her hold her arm.
So she has to hold her arms. So we'll be sure that her shoulders won't dislocate and she will not move there. And now the first thing we do is, keep your balance. Try to do that. And if you can, move a little bit forward and backward.
Okay.
And the nice part is, you see, she likes it. She's not in pain. It doesn't hurt her. Yeah. She gets challenged, what she likes, because she is competitive. So I use a lot of motivation in that kind of things.
I can say as a patient, that's an amazing experience, because usually the focus is on the pain area. And then immediately you go into these patterns of, I don't want to be in pain. And it really kind of affects your mood and your attitude towards it. But I think what Wieger does really well is he does anything but really focus on that area. And so because of that, you kind of frees your mind to then also relax a little bit and move more freely the parts that you want to move more freely.
Yeah. But I think you can only do it when you make sure that the pain will not get there. Yeah. I have to make sure that she's safe there. And when she does have pain, I will respond on it, but I'm not going to ask it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't want the eternal focus. I wanted to focus on the task.
Yeah, I find like traditional physical therapy, I think a lot of it's showing you what you can't do. Yeah. Like it's showing, this range of motion, you can't get up there anymore. Like it's very it's very demotivating, especially when you first start. I find to just, I have so far to go. I got to get back to this range of motion, rather than kind of creating, here's what you can do with what you have now. Yeah. So in this, this is getting more of the shoulder kind of mobility you want in the scapula. This kind of.
Yeah, I want the scapula to get moving there. Okay. And like I said, it's a very simple rule. When you lose your balance, your weight goes to the back, your arms will go forward. And when you protect your arms, it will be your scapulas moving. Yeah. You have no other choice there. Yeah. So this freezing of the scapulas, you won't get away with it if you want to do the exercise as well.
Yeah.
And the nice part is, when she's doing well, we're gonna straight go to the next exercise. We'll make it harder. We want motor learning. When she knows how to do it, she's not learning anymore. We wanna challenge her all the time.
Yeah. So this is a great example of the constraints-led approach for me. You're adding the constraint of the ball and of the holding your arm in to, you cannot do what you did. You can't move your arm like you did before. You're not going to get that constraint. You're taking away the constraint of pain, which is a big constraint really. And then, but you're creating a task that requires you to move towards, explore the movement pattern you want. Yeah. More movement in the shoulder. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. Okay.
And here I put another task constraint. Now she has to touch with the ball, the yellow piles.
Yeah.
Which is hard, but you see her scapulas moving there. And she also sees her left arm is going up there in an angle she wasn't able to do before.
Okay. Oh, that.
There it goes. There's no dislocation there.
Okay. Yeah, this one that had on both sides, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So you're gradually kind of changing the constraints based on her as she gets better.
And I've got 1 hour time, so I do a lot of stuff with this, and she all gets it home. We have exercises on our YouTube channel, Shoulder Science. We tell her how to do it, but she will exercise. She will do a lot of exercise at home. There's
And
no
this
doubt.
one, so this is someone you just started with, right? You just
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
you bring in the tidal tank, the aqua implements. Probably
Yeah.
that would be the next step, right?
Yeah, we can't start with that with her.
Yeah.
That's way too difficult. You
Yeah.
can't start with the tidal tank. That will hurt her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go maybe this. So here's another example. Oh,
Yeah, this is also a very, I think it's a sad story. This lady has over more than 30 years of complaints of her right shoulder. She used to be a professional handball player, played national team. And she got injured also by overuse and everything. And in the years, she's getting worse and worse. And what you see, she's also dislocating her shoulder. It's not really, it's a subluxation. It's not the classic dislocation you should operate. It's not like that. But her scapula is really going the wrong way. It's
you could see it,
to the medial side. It's not going outwards there. And you see it at her face when she's going to move. There she goes. And what you really see well, her face is already starting to give pain before the pain starts. It's
she's anticipating.
It's anticipating it will hurt me. The body will defend you by freezing it. Then it hurts. So it's a negative loop.
Yeah,
she sticks into it. She will not get out.
Yeah, it's pain is a very power. You avoid it, it causes all these. Yeah. So what do you in your treatment? You kind of how do you deal with pain? Do you let them? You're obviously like the other example where you're holding your arm, you're kind of taking away her pain, but obviously they have to kind of go through a little bit of it in your therapy, right?
No, we don't.
You're trying to reduce that as much as possible.
Because when I have exercises which hurt, the pain is giving the maladaptation. So I really want to avoid the pains.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to take away that.
Sometimes you see people telling pain is in the back and so, but that's not threatening. So then I explain that's stretching. Your pain system doesn't know what it is, so that's safe for me. We can safely do that, and then people are willing to do so, and you see it going away very fast. Yeah, but I don't want the shoulder pain. I really
don't want that. You want to get rid of that strain, or it's an affordance to something you're avoiding.
Yeah,
like affordances can be both positive and negative. Like
and negative,
and negative. This is a really powerful thing to make you avoid.
Yeah, we don't want the negative invites there.
Yeah,
and you really see it moving there. It's hard to look at.
Yeah, you really can see. Like sometimes they call it chicken wing, right? You have the weird way you move. Yeah. Kind of you.
And they were afraid of a nerve damage and everything, but this has nothing to do with nerve damage. This is maladaptive.
Yeah, just a poor, ineffective movement solution.
I started with her the same way as I did with the girl we saw. I gave her a sling. She did all these balance exercises with her arm in the sling. She did that for 3 months. In that time, I saw her once. She went well. She didn't have less pain, but she notices that her balance got better, that she was a little bit less stiff than she used to be. So she notices advantages. And in the next video, we'll see her after 3 months. And she's still not moving very well. But the scapula is not that extremely going there. But she still has the subluxation there. She doesn't like it. You see it there when she points her hand. The humeral head is pointing out there.
Yeah.
But now it's getting really fun because we have an opening here. We see that the scapula is moving better, and now we're going to.
Is that what you're kind of your sign to you can get to the here's another. You can start doing the water bags and things like that. Yeah.
So I told her I wanna try something. Perhaps we're a little bit too soon, and it might give you pain. But I assure you that we're safe there. Okay. Are you willing to try that, or do you want to take it slower? And she said, "No, let's try it. I'd like to."
Yeah. So we're going into the. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here's the
So
what. So
she's out of balance, and now she's got the disturbance from the water. And then what I first make her do is touch the ground.
Okay.
When you touch the ground, you have not much options, but you will move your scapula. And she does that. She has no medial rotation. It's impossible. Your scapula will move forward. I let her do it a few times. She's still not very comfortable with it, but then I ask her, push it through the ceiling, and there she goes.
She can't. Yeah.
It's hard for her. It doesn't feel very nice, but she's doing well. I'm very satisfied with it. And the nice part of the water, when your arm is too slow, the water, like you see here, is going to that side.
Yeah.
So the body will have to learn to move it up faster. And I don't have to tell it. She will notice herself. The body will notice herself. Hey, let's organize that a little bit another way. Let's do it a little bit faster. We probably won't get in trouble there.
Yeah. So another, if we bring in the attractor concept, it's creating instability around this attractor for the bad movement, around it and Lipko, maybe you can. One of the things Tidal Tank you do, they're see-through, so you also can you have a visual stimulus about your balance and what the water's doing as well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you can use that in your cues, maybe as well. But you see very clearly what happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still get some shoulder issues when I'm in the gym and like pressing a weight upward, like you said. But then I just have to pick up a Tidal Tank, move it up, and then immediately I almost have to adopt the right movement pattern. Okay. Because if I don't, all the water goes to one side, and then you respond to it. And because of the perturbation, like, oh yeah, now the scapulas are moving, and now I remember how I'm supposed to move.
We're a regular way. Well, a machine is the worst, right? A machine you can very compensate.
Yeah, I become repetition with a lot of repetition.
Yes, the same thing over there. Yeah, so this is given a lot. We got repetition without repetition. You're never doing it the same way twice.
Never. Impossible.
Water's going,
and when you put weight on it, weight, it just makes it worse, right? Wieger, you said that?
Yeah.
If you haven't that movement pattern for avoiding pain, and you put weight on it, you go more in that attractor, I guess.
You go more in the protective.
And people get it from physiotherapists. Like, you can't move your up normally. Let's give it 3 kilos. I mean, what's the idea of that? I really don't understand. What's the idea that's getting better then?
Yeah. So it's given a specific stimulant. Like, again, you can't, unless you do the move away from that movement pattern, you're never going to be able to get the water to be level.
No.
With your way you're moving now and giving you feedback about that. Yeah. Let's see. So here, what is you still like to use the instability of the surface you're standing on?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Because she really has this instability. Will give her no possibility to freeze her degrees of freedom. I want them to go all the way. I want that scapula to go moving, and in all the rehabilitation, that's my that's the thing I keep there all the time. Keeping that instability, that scapula will have to move to keep your balance, and also when she's going up there, she will have to control that movement. So she will notice that she doesn't only get the mobility, but she also has to control the mobility.
Yeah.
And we'll see it in the next video.
You can see, it's I think this is way more interesting than a traditional PT exercise, right? You have a specific goal and it's kind of challenging. Like, PT, everyone has a problem. Nobody does the exercises, right? Because they're boring. Yeah.
The goal of the exercise was also to keep standing. So I'm not satisfied already, but she's so happy. I mean, look.
Oh yeah. Lifted overhead with no pain.
Yeah. And I always get asked when I give courses and everything, you do have to functional training. What you want in your exercise is that there's a transfer to other movements.
Yeah.
That's what I want, and we'll see in the next one there's definitely a transfer to other movements.
Oh, did I go over it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see the next one.
Oh, you want the next one? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, here. This what you want.
So here she goes.
We'll jump. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and
What a
here
difference.
we still have the instability, so
Mhm.
she will not be tending to freeze her scapulas. And I use how do you call it? I let her move very fast.
Mhm.
When you move, what we saw the first video, that she's predicting that it will hurt, but when you're moving very fast, your prediction goes away.
Mhm.
She doesn't have time to freeze her scapula there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
So we
can
have a-
change this pattern very fast.
Yeah. I have a question here. I was thinking. So, do you think the kind of pain part of the pain comes from trying to do it the same way, like trying to do a shoulder press the exact same way every time, the way you're taught?
Yeah.
Instead
That
of, it's kind of the
Yeah, that will
overuse,
definitely
lack of
help you get more
variability.
in trouble there.
Yeah.
And not everybody gets in trouble, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a risk. It's definitely a risk. Yeah. All these
Cool.
explicit training methods, how you should do it, all these videos on YouTube. This is the way to press and lay there and fixate your scapulas and then move. And I
Do
mean,
this
let the
one
body
way.
decide for itself. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's kind of it makes sense. It just makes sense. I know it seems obvious, but yeah, no, that's cool. Okay, and then I think we had.
But it's exactly what you do with the baseball players.
Yeah. You teach them. You go for repeatability of movement.
Yeah. We have one video I sent you with how she's not moving well. I think
This one?
No, the one I mailed you before.
Oh, this one. Okay. Where did I go with that?
Where did you go with it? Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. This
Okay.
girl I saw this morning, fresh.
Oh, okay.
It isn't
new case.
It isn't the first time. She has had a nerve damage on the right scapula, and we are training for a while now. But today was really you see it's nonlinear. So she has done all these exercises with balance, and this is how she came in. And this morning we really had this moment from, oh wow, this is now we're making progress. So I think let's show it. Yeah.
This one?
This is how she started.
This is how she. Wow.
Yeah, so the one before was the first one, and this is 40 minutes later. I can think you can see it on the clock.
Wow.
This is 12 o'clock today, of 11 o'clock. What is it? 12 o'clock. And the other one was how we started.
Yeah. So this is like you mentioned, nonlinear. And this is kind of like a classical, we call it bifurcation. It's not like a progressive, okay, you move your shoulder a little bit this way, a little bit this way. It's like suddenly
you have to
find you settle into a new pattern.
Yeah.
Is that what it was like for you, Lipco? Did you kind of like more of a kind of, or less of a progressive? Well, I guess the exercises do have some progressions to them, but you just suddenly find the movement pattern. And you mentioned you sometimes use tidal tanks to get back there, right? When you
that's when I see the most. That's when I see the most change.
Yeah,
I think it was pretty progressive.
Yeah.
Though I remember at some point I had a lot less confidence in what I could do than Wieger did, because I thought, no, I cannot do that. And then Wieger said, like, yeah, you can. And then I did it. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. So I think my mind was a little bit, because I had issues for so many years. I kind of had to get used to the fact that, now within a couple of months, I can do all that stuff again.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know if it was like snap like that, but it was a lot quicker than what I thought it would be, for sure.
Yeah.
What is important when you have this attractor landscape, it's like maladaptive movement is there. You want to go over the hill to the nice movement, but in the beginning, from the nice movement, you can get back very easily to the maladaptive movement, and we want to change it. We want the hill between it. You want to go from maladaptive to nice very easily, and here from the adaptive movement part, you want to make it a very stable pattern there. You want to be ready for disruptions and everything, so you don't fall back. all the time. That's what we want in the end.
Here, so you got a bunch of external, like the water is giving you external thing to focus on.
Yeah.
What do you tell people in these exercises to kind of, how do you cue them? Or
what I'm cueing here is I want her to turn 180 degrees and land with the tank above her head. That's the cue. That's
so you
the
focus
task
on
she
the
wants to
tank.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, something external, not telling you to rotate your shoulder this way or do.
Not at all. Never an internal cue. Never. No.
And plus, they're going to figure that out on their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the people I see, they're almost chronic. They're always chronic. They have a lot of tragedies been through with other therapists and everything. And in most parts, they don't get to hear the nice things about their body. Everybody saying your shoulder is going down, you're not moving well. I think the tendon is hurt. Everything. So it doesn't feel well. And with these exercises, when they're not doing well, it's my fault. I don't give the nice puzzle there. I have to find out another exercise she can do. And when she does well, I can give her a compliment. Nice work. You're seeing you're getting better. I see you're strong there. So it's a really nice way of working. I really like it. I can get compliments all day. It's a very positive way of cueing. Which they haven't been hearing for a long time there.
Yeah. You're exploring what they can do instead of trying to get back to where something that's miles away from where they are now, right? Yeah. So I like that approach a lot too. You're right. It's much more. I think it's more motivating for them. Yeah.
And this girl has a lot of. Perhaps we can see the video again. She has in the middle part. She has the problem there. She can't lift her arm. When it's up, she can keep it there. But the middle part is hard. So I'm using the speed there to get this arm up, and it doesn't hurt. She noticed that she can do it. It's very motivating.
So the speed of the movements, does that help?
It helps a lot here. It helps a lot to keep it up.
It gives a different constraint on the movement. And
so I'm using everything to get this arm up easier. And after that, when we've got all these tricks, in the end, we want to go down so she doesn't have to need all the tricks anymore. But in the beginning, I want to explore every trick we have to get this arm up easier.
Okay. So after a while, she would be able to do a slow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So while you're getting to organize into a new movement pattern, you're also increasing strength in the shoulder, I'm assuming, and the mobility, kind of.
Yeah, but always
as it goes along. Not first, like not as you're at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time, and. I think in this way you will get strong, you will get mobile. So I never use the classic strength training, never.
No.
I'm just challenging her to make it more more difficult. So it's motor learning. When she knows how to do it, I can find a way to give her the constraint to challenge her again.
Yeah.
Well,
that's great. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah.
And
I think that is
much stuff with this tank. It's really fun.
Yeah. One of the sorest I've ever been. I must go Randy Sullivan's our skill acquisition summit. The first year Paul was there, and I demoed his water bags for help. I did exercise. That is the sorest I've ever. That is a workout, man. If you've never done them. Yeah. It's really. Yeah. And you can. Right, you can change the difficulty by the amount of water you put in. There's lots of adjustments you can make to it, right?
Yeah, you can change everything. Yeah.
You do see sometimes people, they put a lot of water in, thinking they will make the exercise a lot harder.
Yeah.
But of course, you lose the variability of the water.
Right.
Because if you have a little bit of water, the center of gravity can shift all the way from one side to the next, next to the inertia of the water, which adds more force. But if you add it almost completely full, then the center of gravity changes a lot less, obviously.
Yeah. So if you completely fill it up, it'd just be like a regular weight, pretty much.
Exactly.
Which kind of defeats the purpose.
Okay. We've got 6 tidal tanks in our practice, and the heaviest is 6 kilo. We don't need more. We want.
Yeah.
We want the
it's not about the weight. you're not going for maximum reps
No,
or
no,
something
no.
here,
No, there's
especially
so
not
much more things you can do to change it. You can see the video on the ball. She's really skilled now. She's turning on the ball and leaving it upwards. Perhaps you can show it.
Okay, let's see. Go back here. Sorry. Yeah, no, I think it's really...
There's definitely a learning curve with using the tidal tank. Where often for some people in the beginning it can be a bit frustrating because of how hard it is to manage. But then you get into it and it feels really nice. Yeah.
So that's she's falling off.
So, boom, there she goes.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
That's hard.
That's hard.
Yeah.
We'll make it even harder for her.
Yeah. And I like, there's so many things here that fit with my... So you're like, she's controlling the force going through her body, not controlling the positions her body is in.
No, the body, like Franz Bosch said, the body isn't interested in positions.
Yeah.
It's interested in dealing with forces.
Yeah. So
when I started working with this, when I started working with this, I had no idea what I was doing. I found out that the balance was working very well and these disturbances worked. And then I subscribed to a course of Franz. And at lunch break, I went to see him and I said, Franz, you're really explaining me what I'm doing here. I had really explaining what, and I showed him some videos and he was really saying, oh, here you have this constraint, there you do that.
Yeah.
It was so nice. And then it really got fun. Then I got grip on it.
Yeah. You can go kind of run with it. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Good. That so. Yeah. So I think, like I said, there's a lot of principles in there that I think fit well with this approach. Creating the variability, instability, and I think for rehab, kind of for me, like the idea of exploring and then what you have, rather than focusing on what you don't have and getting back. Yeah, I think I like that approach a lot. Very positive. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you teach a course now on
I
shoulder.
do.
Yeah. So this is so maybe let's talk about that first. Yeah. I was going to ask a separate question, but I'll ask you about that first.
Yeah, we have different courses running. I really like to collaborate with other people. So I have a course with Michel. He's a colleague from me at the clinic. I work at the clinic with Van der List. He's this really brilliant orthopedic surgeon who sends me all these patients and gives me all this confidence to do this.
Like me?
Yeah. Tells it that instead of doing surgery.
Yeah, instead of surgery. And he also only does surgery before we move better. So he wants, before the surgery, let's first get you moving better. Perhaps your complaints will go away. If it doesn't go away, you really have these advantages afterwards. Yeah, so he's really the one. I will take a little credit for him. So I'm very grateful for the work with him. Yeah. So I do a course with Michel, and in December I'm going to the University of Ghent in Belgium with Annelies Maanhout. We wrote a first article about this, a pilot study, which shows really nice results also. And I'm doing this course with Martijn Nijhoff. You know him very well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, he's been on the podcast. Yeah,
and I really like that one. We put a lot of energy in it with a lot of help of Teun Thomassen. And the nice part about this course is we look at different ways. He's looking from this, how you call it, movement analytics from the sports and how you use the constraints-led approach. And I'm using it from the other side. How can we look at the body and see how we can change it there? And these two together, I think it's a brilliant course. But,
I think it fits well together. Yeah, and I guess Lipco and both of you can. So you're focusing obviously on injury. You can also use this obviously training injury prevention, right? Helping build in the first place.
That's how we started with his baseball academy in Holland. I got in touch with him and we got to meet him. He pitched his ideas. I pitched my ideas. And we went to look at training. And I was, why do you do this warming up like this? Let's change that. And he was like, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And last year was the first year where they didn't have shoulder injuries. So it's not
Yeah.
hard science, but it
Mm.
does tell something. To at least
Yeah.
for him, it was the first time.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
maybe a coincidence, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you have a YouTube channel with some exercises. Some of these exercises you show.
Yeah, we started a YouTube channel. It's called
Okay.
Shoulder Science. We
Okay.
have about 118 videos on it now, all categorized in playlist with how to start with exercises, how to start with
Okay.
the Swiss ball and everything. And we give it to all our patients. So here are the exercises, find your way in it. And also there we want a lot of control from the patients itself to give self-organization, to get grip on their what they're doing. We have some exercises with explanation of it, and it's work in progress, but it's nice playing there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's awesome. And Lupko, can you tell us a little bit about Tidal Tank? So you have, obviously, you have lots of training programs for not just rehab, but also for preventing injuries and strength in the first place. But can you tell us a little bit about kind of some of the tools you have? And obviously, you have the classic water bag we saw, but you have water balls, lots of different things.
Yeah, we have many different tools.
Yeah.
We have the balls in different sizes, big and small.
Mm-hmm.
The tubes as well, and then the handheld ones. So one is called the kettle tank, which you can use for shoulder co-contractions mostly.
Okay.
And then we have a new device. It's actually a continuation of a product of Ultimate Instability, which is the Hydro Vest.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it's a vest that wraps very tightly around your body, and a cavity at the back where you can put a tank in. So
Okay.
now your arms are free to do whatever movement you want to do,
Okay.
while still being hit by the instability of the water. And so
That's
this is
cool.
great when you're talking about transfer to sports in the way that we
Mhm.
think about it. You want in your normal sports movements, whether you're doing slides as a basketball player, for example, you want to have those stabilizing mechanism having taken place. Like that co-contractions around the knees, around the ankle to prevent Achilles injury or prevent ACL injury.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you can do these sport-specific movements, while being hit by the instability.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I think
But
that's
now we see the.
yeah. Sorry,
Have
go
you
ahead.
already worked with it, Rob, with the Hydro Vest?
I've seen it. Yeah, I have.
Okay.
But I've done a lot with the aqua bags and aqua balls before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Same
the
kind of
Hydro
thing.
Vest, I love it. And
Yeah.
you can use it also with the normal aqua bag together. So then you
Yeah.
really
Lots
get,
of yeah.
and there's so much more options you get there. I'm really
Yeah.
fan of it.
That's cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, we did have a question about ACL. So I think we do the same kind of principles. Creating variability of movement, creating instability. Using some of the things you mentioned, Lipco, you can do strengthening the things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's similar to preventing Achilles injuries, where if you have, I believe, say too much dorsiflexion, when your heel is touching the ground before you're about to sprint off, then you're having passive stability coming from an end range of the motion. So in that case, you want to train ankle stiffness so that your muscles are now absorbing the power that you are creating by exploding off, rather than putting that tension that you created on the tendon. And I believe for ACL it's similar. There is a lady in the north of the Netherlands in Groningen doing research on that, where she saw that especially in women's soccer apparently there was a lot of ACL injury.
Yes.
And it comes mostly from having a lack of an athletic stance, where the knees go inward, for example. So also there, the training of instability could work a lot, because in my mind, the instability now forces you to be more stable. So you're introducing more instability, and as a response, you now have to be more stable. So this is for core activation, but also co-contraction.
Yeah.
Similar to when you go to a physical therapist and you have a trigger point, you have a muscle point somewhere, you press on it, so then your body deals with it.
Yeah.
So in this case, it seems a little bit similar to me, because now you might have a maladaptive movement pattern, which might not always hurt you, but in the long run, it will hurt you. You might get, as a physical therapist or as a performance coach, you might already see beforehand, oh, this movement pattern is going to hurt you in the long run, even though it's not that detrimental to you now. So adding instability feeds the mistake. It exacerbates the movement. And you now have to deal with it. So it's also a direct teacher because you have to deal with that direct feedback.
Right.
So it exposes it, but then it also forces you to deal with it.
Yeah.
And this is what I really like of this type of training, that you try to just introduce constraints that elicit the right movement response that you are looking for, so that your body comes up with that right movement response.
Yeah.
And so, we see tidal tank being used a lot in baseball in recent years, especially. It has grown a lot. We spoke about it a little bit before the call. Sometimes people, they buy the products because they see people using it and they can feel like there's a value, but maybe they don't use it that much after. I think this part of it is because people don't really know all the underpinnings of implicit learning, mechanical systems theory. And so if there are people here that use the water bags already, but want to get deeper into it, okay, how can I use it as a constraint? How can I learn more about the ecological approach specifically for using water bags? I can really recommend them to go to ultimateinstability.com and look at the e-learnings there.
Okay.
Because in those e-learnings, these are the ones that are created by Paul that we've now added onto a little bit. We tried to make it more practical. So it used to be very theoretic, which is great, theoretical. But now we try to add more videos about, okay, how can you now use this in practice as well?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's just a lot of things you can do with the medicine ball. Just use the aqua ball instead of giving a different stimulus. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think, I think those are great points. Like your body wants to find these points of stability, right? That's why we call them attractors. They're attractive. They're pulling you in, but sometimes they're bad. You develop bad ones, and it's hard to get out of. That's what you need to give them you got to kick it out, and hopefully it finds a new one that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. I think you have to kind of. Also, I think there's a certain skill in, like, I think you both have it, when you give someone a bag and seeing how they respond to it, just changing little things about, how they're holding it, how far out, to kind of guide them a little bit to get the movements you want. I think that's this coaching skill in there. I think
That's where the magic happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be creative.
You mentioned Toyn's really good at that. Like he does little tweaks to things. You look very small, but they have big effects. Yeah. That's cool. Well, I think we're almost out of time here. Thanks everyone for joining us. So you mentioned shoulderscience.com, Shoulder Science YouTube channel. Is there any other place you want that has your about your courses or anything? Or
I'm giving course in Holland with Tim Alp. You can find it on my LinkedIn page.
Okay. I will. I'll put links to all this stuff.
Yeah, if you put that on, they will find. We'll give a summarize of all the courses I give next week, and I'll put it on. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot going on. We're going to Switzerland. I'm going to Denmark next month to giving their lecture and course. So it's really traveling around. It's getting bigger and better. And I like it.
I'm really happy about that. I think, like you said, for a lot of reasons, I think it's helping people, the positivity of it. I'm happy to hear that. So, and Lipco is tidaltank.com is the
Tidal-tank.com. Tidaltank.com is not available at the time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a shipping company out of Texas, I believe.
Yeah. You are
which, if you're looking for that, but
that you're not gonna quite get the right thing. Yeah. I know you have Instagram as well.
Yeah, Tidal Tank Training. That's the Instagram handle.
And so you can see lots of examples of people using it different ways. So
many different types of applications. Yeah, and then ultimate instability.
Yeah.
So from Tidal Tank, it's a little bit more surface level, let's say. Whereas in ultimate instability, so in Tidal Tank is a little bit more looking how does the market respond. So it's more about stability training, balance training, and then from ultimate instability, we try to be a lot more of the thought leaders So
Yeah.
I'm connected with the same partners as what
Okay.
community stability was before. And yeah, I would say if you're already using water bags, definitely check out the e-learnings from Ultimate Instability.
Yeah.
If you haven't used somebody hasn't used the tidal tanks before, it is really unlike any other device, which I think you notice the first time that you pick it up.
Yes.
Like you said, it's all right.
Yeah.
You immediately
Yeah, you
you
almost
get
fall
sores
over.
after,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
which obviously is great for physical therapy and trying to get people out of their movement pattern.
Yeah.
Because if you put somebody on a Bosu ball with an unstable weight, you're in a situation now that you've never been before in your life.
Yeah.
So if there's any situation where you want to get out of some neural patterns, it's that situation.
Yeah.
And so, but it's hard to convey to somebody, okay, what is it to work out with a tidal tank? And so on our website, you can actually buy the tidal tank and use it for a month.
Okay.
And then if you wish to return it, you can return it. I know a lot of websites say this,
Yeah.
but I really believe in it. So you can return it within 30 days. We ship the shipping label. Most of the time, we cannot even sell it after. But for me, it's worth it because I know that most of the time, people end up really liking the product.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's, like I said, I'm a big believer, and I think Wieger gives a great example of how you design exercises for it, specific movements that you can't, are creating a constraint. You can't do them right unless you get the kind of movement pattern you want.
Yeah, and at our YouTube channel, Shoulder Science, you see a lot of exercises there, and also really, crazy stuff going there, and people really getting skilled and high-level performance with the tidal tank. So, if people want to have some inspiration, take a look there.
Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna sign us off. End the stream here. Thanks everyone for joining us. There's lots of thank yous in the thing. I appreciate the feedback, and we'll see you next time.
All right.